Hero, Nightmare, RagnaroK, ByuN. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2023, GSL Season 2.
Pull up to the Pentagon swinging. That's all heat that I'm bringing.
Welcome back, everybody. RagnaroK versus ByuN is coming up next. But let's talk about what we just saw happen, because I'm still not over it, man. I mean, the fact that Nightmare 2-0's Hero, I thought out of all of the starting matches for all of the groups for the round of 16 for Season 2 of the GSL, this was the most obvious one, that Hero would 2-0 Nightmare in an unremarkable fashion.
Yeah,
Not the case at all.
It was a big upset there for Nightmare, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy that for a very long time has been struggling to really get past anything really more than round of 16 in the GSL. He's made a lot of Code S's. He's still doing it, even now that Code S is way more intense than it used to be, since we're starting with a smaller player pool. And then to come out and beat Hero in his first match of Season 2, it's crazy stuff.
Yeah, it is wild, man. You know, everybody is improving, and that includes Nightmare. And let me tell you something. He's definitely got the PvP matchup out of the way, okay? We don't have a lot of Protosses, but you beat Hero, you can beat anybody. Up next, I've got one that I've personally been very excited about with ByuN versus RagnaroK. I don't know who's going to take this at all.
Yeah, I would probably give the edge to ByuN, just how well that he's been playing as of late. But you know, for RagnaroK, he really has something to prove here after not qualifying for GSL Code S Season 1. And I think probably the biggest upset overall of that season. I mean, many people were saying, you know, Innovation qualified, and that was a surprise. But where is RagnaroK, right? I mean, he got second place in the previous Code S, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
What's going on there? And then it took him a long time to actually get back into the Code S. It's already July. This is his first Code S appearance here in 2023, so I'm curious to see, you know, what he's cooked up, what he has prepared here for Group B, what he has in store for us, because both of them laughing, I guess, something pretty funny going around in the chat. But I'm curious to see where he's at, because at the end of 2022, he looked so strong.
All right, man, let's find out. RagnaroK versus ByuN starts now, and the winner goes up against
2023, GSL Season 2.
Look at that studio. God, it's so much better that we have this in the studio and it's not in that green room.
Mystery Gaming, RagnaroK. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
Getting flashbacks to Season 1 with ByuN going 2 barracks on the low ground every single TBZ. Do you remember that from the first group stage?
I was wondering about that. Well, we might actually have it. Let's see what this, yep, there it is.
I remember in the interview, ByuN was saying, after I think it was after he won and he had advanced to the tournament, they asked him about this 2 racks opening. He's like, yeah, this is really good. I think it's going to be meta. You're going to be seeing this all tournament long. And then, like, no one else really did it. It was mostly just ByuN.
Micro Jackson, I love this
Oh,
sign.
Micro Jackson.
That's an old meme. Some RagnaroK support here in the audience. Gotta respect RagnaroK for how long he's been grinding.
Absolutely. He keeps getting better, too. Just like Nightmare. I mean, nobody really expected him to get top 2 and look like the best Zerg in Korea at the end of 2022, right?
Yeah. Excuse me.
It is interesting to see ByuN going back to this, even the next season of GSL Code S. I mean, I guess he really has this ironed out.
Well, this is clearly his, you know, very unique take on the matchup. And it's funny because, yeah, it was a question of like, oh, is this what everybody does? No, this is what ByuN does. So he sends the Reapers out. And, you know, normally a Reaper pressure doesn't do anything. It's kind of like frankly, it's one of the most boring parts of a StarCraft game. But because he has 2 racks, the rate at which the Reapers come out can be troublesome for the Zerg and does allow for a pretty interesting early game.
Yeah, a lot of lanes are going to be forced out here. 2 pairs already. Queen popping at the natural expansion. And once that, wait, is it actually only going to be 2 Reapers here for ByuN? I was expecting to see more. But I suppose with a high ground natural like we have here on Babylon, 2 might just be the play.
Oh!
Scary.
Yeah, that was close. So that should be it for the Reapers. Didn't get too much done there. But, you know, the Zerg is kept under control. You are forcing out, you know, these reactions from the Zerg. And, you know, because of the way the build is, he already has a wall into his entrance. He can use the Reapers to kind of control that part of the map while he makes that command center down there and gets his add-ons up.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why I was surprised to see this build specifically used here on Babylon with the high ground natural, because it is a lot easier to actually control with high ground vision through the fog of war as RagnaroK. I mean, 2 Reapers aren't going to be able to get much done. Even if ByuN had invested in a 3rd or a 4th Reaper, unlikely to find any more damage, but ByuN, he's comfortable with it. And back at home, he should be able to power up quite quickly now with those both add-ons on the barracks. He's pumping out reactor marines out of one of them, getting Stimpack on the other while he techs up. This could lead to a strong mid-game push that we have seen work for ByuN in surprisingly strong fashion from Season 1.
Yeah.
I remember there were multiple games where we casted him. He would just move across the map when the first 2 medevacs are out and just have a little bit more bio than any other Terran would at that moment, and some Zergs just straight up died to it.
So we've got that hatchery on the way here. The build coming out from ByuN right now, pretty normal. I mean, he's just teching up, getting that infantry. You know, the eBay is about to wrap up here. We've got a minimal number of roaches that are going to be made here. We'll see if RagnaroK commits to making any more or not. But yeah, this is going to size up to be a pretty interesting TVZ.
The interesting choice that I'm captivated the most here by ByuN is that he's opting to go for a Banshee here as opposed to medevacs. I really thought this was going to be, you know, 2 full medevacs of Marines pushing across the map, trying to pressure the 3rd base and control the creep, but instead Banshee the selection. Now I think rotating add-ons on those buildings. Just something a little bit different here in Season 2.
Yeah. Now, you know, obviously we're a ways away from this actually happening, but I do want to point out a lot of TVZs tend to prove the matchup is actually, this is the longest of all the possible matchups. It does seem like Zergs over the last several years have become very good at staying resilient, at not being toppled. Historically, even going back like before Brood War with like StarCraft Vanilla, the matchup always functioned in TVZ is the Terran has to end the Zerg. The Zerg is really just trying to grow and get to a pace that's out of control, and so it's a matter of can the Terran stop it or not. Well, hold that thought. We've got a whole bunch of roaches coming here. I'll expand more on that in a second. But he stims. He comes right in. The medevacs are going to come out and just completely shut this down. I was a little confused as to what I was seeing at that moment. I've seen RagnaroK do these unusual roach timings, but that almost seemed like an anti-timing.
Yeah, that was relatively low drone count. I think it might have been maybe 44 that he cut out, and he pumped out all of these roaches. And I think maybe the one player in the world you don't want to do this build against is ByuN, because he just seems to have more Marines than anybody else in the early stages of the games. Because notice that timing hit even before the siege tank had come down to the low ground, and still just the stim Marines were able to repel it quite easily there. As now ByuN coming in for a little bit of damage of his own. 2 medevac drop will try to pick off a queen, but roaches are quick to intercept. Marines will piece out of there.
So he's just going to drop out over here, unload, and try to take on this Overlord. Probably just keep roaming around the map. What I was talking about a second ago before that weird roach attack happened is that you know, TVZ a lot of times it does seem to come down you know, to one of the last few bases that's left on the map. We can have some extremely long and dramatic TVZs, and you know, this game could certainly be one of them.
Yeah, we'll see if it goes that way. At least for ByuN and RagnaroK stylistically, I think, you know, the 2 of them probably make for the most unlikely scenario that we will reach that, you know, end game split map thing. Both of these guys love to be aggressive in the mid game. RagnaroK, especially with his roaches, his lings, his ravagers, not just in ZBT but in ZVP as well. And ByuN is just a killer, man. I mean, we've seen games where he will 2-base through like 15+ minutes trying to kill the Zerg, and it will work because he's just got that in his blood, right? So I don't think these guys are either going to, I don't think either of these guys are going to try and win in that supreme late game.
That's more of like a Maru Rogue game.
Yeah, or maybe a Maru Dark game, perhaps.
So we've got the Banshee wrapping around over here. Gonna try to get a little bit more damage. A couple little pokes and prods over here. Roach Ravager is a tech that's been elected here for RagnaroK. That is a tech composition that lets you max out way faster than any other composition basically in the game. Which also means you're probably gonna see the Zerg attack the Terran a lot sooner because of that.
Especially with this creep spread almost all the way at ByuN's third base. RagnaroK has been on top of that during all this harassment for the Banshee and the double medevac drop. Not letting his foot off the gas pedal in terms of creep. And now that he's approaching max, I mean, just one more round of Roach and Ravager production, he will be there. Expect to see him get a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, a little bit of a swipe over here for ByuN. He's just basically trying to be as active as he can on the map. It looks like he's going to come back over to this point in time. Again, the supply continuing to ramp up here. Are we going to see RagnaroK try to attack in over here now?
It looks like he might be gearing up for it behind it, going for Hive Tech. ByuN, meanwhile, throwing down his second factory, getting vehicle weapons, +2 infantry weapons and armor, throwing in some sensor powers as well. As I think he can kind of sense, based on RagnaroK's unit composition, that aggression is coming. And that's what these Marines in the middle of the map are doing, is they're keeping the creep spread back. They're keeping at least some small probing force forward so that ByuN will have more time to reposition his army and react should he need to a large attack. And now that he has a sensor tower here at the third base, look to see him get a little bit more confident moving across the map and being comfortable knowing exactly where RagnaroK's positioned at.
Okay, he looks like he's going to come out. This is kind of a funny moment because we were just talking about how the Zerg's going to be the first to attack. But here it is, actually ByuN, right? The Zerg's going to max out. He's the one pushing on the map here. We've got a lot of Banes getting set up. This could be a little dicey here for ByuN. I mean, he's got some of the best control that we've ever seen in StarCraft 2, but when you have this many Banelings coming in, it can be tough.
Yeah, looking at the mini-map, RagnaroK is setting up about a 180-degree surround on this with units all the way down to the lower third base. And so ByuN, he's consolidating here at the top side. That's a lot of Marines, so he is able to focus down a number of Banelings here right from the get-go. RagnaroK actually not committing to go in with a flank on the rear, I guess, afraid of that high tank count. And for now, RagnaroK will be able to push him back. But man, ByuN killed a lot of Banelings there.
That was
Marines.
A shocking amount of kills there. Not just on the eggs that were morphing, or the Banelings that were morphing, whatever you want to call it, but also just sniping the Banes before they could touch. Perfect control, and he can kill this. He might even try to pick up. No, I thought he might try to go up into the main. But yeah, he's going to kill that hatchery, no problem at all.
And this tank count very healthy here. This would be a hard position for RagnaroK to breach, and he actually decides he's just going to vacate this base. ByuN with a lot of power.
It almost like doesn't make sense. It's like he attacks right as Zerg's maxed out. All these Banes are finishing, and then we're watching ByuN just overpower him. Zerg is back on a 3 bases. There is a 4th being made way in the bottom left, but it's not done yet. Oh, I think it might have just finished, actually. But, I mean, basically ByuN came in there, knocked off 2 bases, and really didn't lose anything.
No,
that's
he just
crazy.
Shed off a couple of Marines, but he's more than happy to do that and trade out with Banelings, with expansions, with drones. And now coming in the main base, he will confirm the high tech is out. Sees adrenal glands researching on the spawning pool as well. And now we'll see if we can find an angle here in the middle of the map. Now, keep in mind, Vipers are on the field, so a lot of good blinding clouds coming down on these siege tanks. That's going to take a lot of the oomph out of the army here for ByuN, as RagnaroK finally will get a win in terms of engagements. But the economic damage really showing what it's done, because you would think after a fight like that, RagnaroK is going to be way up in supply over ByuN, but it's only about 20 supply in total. And keep in mind, most of his army is Roach and Ravager, right? So yeah, this is still looking really good for ByuN despite losing that skirmish.
Yeah, he's going to pick up and back out. I mean, ByuN is looking just stellar, man. I mean, he's looking untouchable. We know that, you know, Zerg is in recovery mode right now, trying to rebuild the economy, the engine that he had before, but we know that as those hatcheries finish, that ByuN's going to come out and attack once more.
Yeah, and for ByuN, I think now you want to wait until you get closer and closer to max, because you know that RagnaroK has Vipers out on the field. You know that he soon will have adrenal glands, so those Marines will get increasingly dangerous. Also scouting the Ultralisk Cavern, getting thrown down here in the main base is 11 HP on that medevac. Has to evacuate the main base here, and ByuN now, he's setting his eyes on controlling the creep on the southern portion of the map, which makes me think that he's going to do exactly as you said and start pivoting his army towards those bottom left bases.
Well, he's doing a great job at basically keeping Zerg only in the very far left file, if I could even call it that, on the map. Anything that's like an expansion to the right of that is not safe territory. And now we're seeing ByuN reach down into this bottom left area. This should be harder to push than what we saw earlier, but he might just make it work.
And the creep spread that was so healthy just a few minutes ago has been all but completely cleaned up across the middle of the map. So RagnaroK losing a ton of map control, losing vision, losing mobility with his army. He's going to try and fight back now with these Vipers coming in on the flank, but the Marines should be able to pick a lot of them off. Blinding Cloud's only really connecting with 2 siege tanks right here in the back line, and so ByuN's like, okay, I will take that trade. I'll kill those 2 Vipers, and now you're off creep. So it's a lot easier to micro, but RagnaroK, he's rallying in a bunch here, Tasteless.
Nice siege tank shots there. Saves the day. He saves the base. He's going to have to be forced away. And another unload over here. I don't see any roach. Oh, sorry, never mind. There's roaches coming up here from the bottom. But again, I mean, he's just continuously generating threats. We do have that base that was destroyed earlier. It's been retaken. But it looks like ByuN's back out on the move again.
Yeah, ByuN really wants to keep the pressure up on the bottom left side, and now caught a little bit out of position here is ByuN. With RagnaroK moving up the natural expansion, there is a siege tank rally that will siege up, but supply depot down means that RagnaroK can actually breach this position, and so ByuN, he's going to pull his forces back from the bottom left, going to try and reinforce this and shoo RagnaroK away, and RagnaroK, at least what he's doing right now is buying some time, but I'm concerned about his supply right now, Tasteless, only at 154, and he loses the hive in the main base. Oh my goodness.
That's wild. Because, you know, all those buildings are very snipeable.
Yeah.
There's really nothing that compares in StarCraft to losing the hive.
It's crazy.
It's such a reset. It takes so long to get back to that. Now he still has the hive, well, whatever hive tech he's built, but, you know, we're at a point in the game where that might actually be why he loses.
It's possible. I mean, Vipers are pretty much out of the question until this natural expansion here for RagnaroK techs all the way back up. So he's going to have to make do with what he's got, and sitting at 156 supply and also being as gas-starved as he is, it's not going to be easy to tech all the way back up.
He's going to be pushing down here in the bottom, and I mean, what, it's just like a small number of Banes. I don't even know if Zerg can actually defend this.
The army supplies are surprisingly even, but the force here for Terran just seems so strong, especially considering creep has been completely eliminated from this portion of the map.
And the tank spread is so good. Like, it's so hard. I mean, you're just going to be dropping stuff over and over. Nice blinding clouds. I like that.
But the blinding cloud's very good, disabling a lot of these siege tanks. 2 in the back line are still doing good damage, though. And I mean, the adepts are coming through, but there's not too much here for RagnaroK to actually clean them up. One of those tanks even surviving, because I feel like ByuN has weathered this storm well enough to carry this one to a victory soon, Tasteless. I mean, this bottom left base is going to fall, and then really, what does RagnaroK have left?
Yeah, that's it, GG. ByuN takes game 1 in a commanding fashion. I got to say, man, I was so impressed with that push that ByuN did. It's like he pushed at like 160 supply right when Zerg was at 200.
Yeah.
Against Roach Raptor, I'm like, well, that can't be it, right? I mean, when Zerg has literally the maximum of whatever they can have and you don't, that's when you attack. But he did it. He made it work. He killed off 2 bases and played the upper hand from there pretty well.
And he played the terrain of the map perfectly there, just keeping the siege tanks protected, putting them in the optimal position to repel the forces of RagnaroK. And although RagnaroK was maxed, he was not yet hive. So there were no Vipers out on the field. I think that's why ByuN went for that timing. He didn't want blinding clouds to take away the strength of his siege tank heavy force, and was able to eliminate 2 bases because of it.
So we are going to go into game 2. I got to say, ByuN looking so strong. RagnaroK definitely frustrated with the way that game went. Didn't seem like there was a moment that ByuN was ever going to let up. I mean, let's see what happens. Again, RagnaroK has had an incredible run in 2022, but here in 2023, it does seem like the landscape of who's on top is shifting very quickly. And ByuN does seem to be one of these Terrans that's got that hunger. He's got that execution. He's got a very developed and modern and original style that he's using as well to start with the double Raxes right at the entrance here to generate some Reaper pressure. Sometimes it's a lot. Sometimes it's like game 1 where it's really not that much at all. He dials it back right away. And he's able to carry that all the way to perfect late game and win in a classic Terran push fashion.
All right, ByuN only one map win away from going to that winner's match.
GSL Season 2.
Versus Nightmare, by the way. Yeah, still can't. Look, let's make a play hero, actually. That just makes more sense.
Mystery Gaming, RagnaroK. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
All right. Getting into this game, we've got really all right,
Gas
gonna get
first.
Gas.
I was like
Gonna
waiting
get
for
a-
him to cancel
Ooh.
it and like queue up another drone.
no.
It's like, wait, we're really doing this?
So that's when you see like a weird opening. You're like, wait a minute, is something actually happening here?
Yeah, gas pool before expand here for RagnaroK. So we have seen people try to bust down ByuN before with all-ins,
It didn't work last time,
and it
right?
did not work.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we'll see. It seems like that is going to be the game plan here for RagnaroK in map number 2, and ByuN is very predictable. Going for this wall-in on the low ground is just his control is one of the best in the world, if not the best here with Terran. So it's a scary proposition to lay it on the line here on match point.
Yeah, this is well, I mean, let's just see what happens, I guess, right? You know, one thing that's also worth noting is that the Reaper's kind of the ideal unit to be rushed with if it's like Lings or Banes or anything, but it is going to be Ling speed. So
Staying on gas as well.
yeah,
I guess RagnaroK's going to go for
is
it.
he going to do like a fruit dealer like Baneling bust? Like, get in there, like what is happening right now?
13 years.
Yeah.
13 years later, we're going to come full circle
He
here.
really was ahead of his time.
Another era where Terran is dominating.
Yeah.
Okay, Roach Warren getting thrown down here by RagnaroK.
So it's going to be Speedlings and Roaches.
Yeah, and at least for ByuN, I mean, one thing that favors RagnaroK here is that, ByuN spawning here on the bottom side, those tech labs and the reactors going to be a little bit more exposed, but, with an army force like ByuN is going to have back at home, keep in mind, he pumps these units out so quickly, also going for the third barracks as well. So this is almost a best-case scenario here for ByuN in terms of unit selection choice against what RagnaroK is going to be throwing at him, and we have to wait and see how this is going to shake out, but just considering the way that the defense worked for ByuN in Season 1, I'm very concerned about RagnaroK's chances here.
Well, one thing we got to point out, and that's just a feature of being spawn. You start out in the bottom left. You have a bottom left spawn location. The add-ons for the barracks are sticking out.
Yeah.
And so they can be attacked and they can be killed, which means upgrades can be stopped. Add-ons can be destroyed, which means some units can be, like, you could be making 2 Marines, now you're making 1. And that is huge. So we got to watch for that. He's getting the Ravagers. He'll make a couple more. He's basically making them as they're en route.
Yeah, and ByuN has a very good idea that this is coming. Those Reapers did their job scouting for it.
Now, also note that you can't repair that add-on out there.
No.
So, like, Stim is probably just not going to get done. Stim, basically the most important upgrade in the game, is not going to finish off here.
Yeah, 9 Marines on the field here for ByuN.
I almost feel like he should just cancel it and start using that money for something else, but...
Yeah, so he has a tech lab here on this back one, but Stim just takes too long to research, so instead he's going to opt to make Marauders and get concussive shells. I like this. It'll make his army a lot more microable. And
Yeah.
ByuN, just watch to see him wait until these barracks are very low HP and then try to defend, because you want to buy as much time as you can to get as many units out of these structures as possible. So now finally lifting this one at 80 HP left. Going to try and get
Yeah.
1 more Marine out of this front barracks, but might actually have to lift that before then. And all right, SCV's getting cold tasteless.
Well, I mean, concussive shell is about to be done, which means he could just kill these, right?
Yeah, behind this, want to say RagnaroK taking that 3rd expansion, adding in more drones, so he's not completely committed here. This is very heavy pressure, but not a complete all-in.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I think that ByuN's fine. It's
It
a little
does seem
scary,
that way.
but it's like the game's going to go on. He didn't really lose that much mining time pulling SCVs. Baneling's nest starts over here. I like this for ByuN right now. I think that he thought. I mean, we were right about the the add-ons going down and the upgrades being delayed, but I mean, how much has this truly slowed the tearing down when you consider that the Zerg had to rush out this tech and at the basically sacrificing getting drones?
Yeah, and ByuN agrees with you too. He's throwing down a third command center already.
It's like ByuN's listening to the cast.
Adding another barracks. He's like, yeah, Tasteless, you are right.
He's
I'm
got
doing
something
fine.
up in a browser.
I'm just gonna make a fourth command center too, Tasteless. I'm totally safe.
More barracks coming down as well.
That's the fourth barracks, I think.
Are there
'Cause
two
one-
Banelings? Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's an Evo chamber. I'm crazy. I thought he was making two Banelings nests. I'm like, oh, how embarrassing, RagnaroK. It's like, no, Tasteless. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so ByuN is going to be going for 4 barracks now. That one barracks did fall at the front of the base, but he wants to have a healthy bio count. So he goes 4 barracks with 2 more added, double engineering bay, and then teching up into the factory. So the bio count here for ByuN is going to be really healthy. And the fact that he's going double engineering bay makes me think that if he's going to hit a timing, it's going to be with combat shields and 1-1. And the force that he's going to have on the field then, should these players not trade until that point, is going to be massive. Because the tempo of this game, tech-wise, has slowed down a lot, with ByuN having to reinvest in add-ons and rebuild barracks to get his unit count back up into a healthy spot to secure this third base. And also on RagnaroK's side of thing, having to build that Baneling nest and invest all of this gas into Roaches and Ravagers while slowing down his economy. So in a more low eco game, a situation where ByuN might have a ton of bio with 1-1 upgrades and maybe 2 medevacs out on the field. I mean, we have seen him make magic happen with forces like that.
Right.
And so my eyes are really set on seeing what's going to happen 2 minutes from now. Once ByuN's army is actually firing on all cylinders with these upgrades completed, what can he get done?
And we're just now getting that 4th base up here for the Zerg, which is probably going to be the target. That's where the bullseye is going to be for the Terran as he moves out. He's also just, but ByuN's just now landed the command center here. I mean, he's kind of trucking along just fine. It's funny to see how much he reacted to that rush, by the way. If you look at how many bunkers are actually at the second base. He was like very ready for like this to be a full all-in.
Yeah, and another barracks actually being thrown down by ByuN. If I'm not mistaken, he might not have a starport at this point. Am I crazy? I feel like I haven't seen any starport units.
No, that can't be right. Wait, maybe you are right. I mean, we didn't
saw
see a
him make the
single
factory, and then I haven't seen much else in the production tab since then. So
Okay,
he
he's got a
does have
starport.
it. All right, I am
Starport's out.
actually crazy. We're on the units count a little bit too long there. I was just gonna say it.
It
I feel like
makes me think of like one of the first years that StarCraft 2 was out, like the very first. I remember like maybe it was like Lucifron or Vortex was like just not making medevacs in one of these games, like stimming and attacking in. And I'm like, is that how to do it? It's not, but I was like, oh.
I was just confused because in my mind as a Terran player, once that starport is done and it's got the add-on on it, you just immediately want to start pumping medevacs.
Well, the accumulation of medevacs is what gives you the sustain in the long game, right? So
I thought we were witnessing something crazy, but in fact, I'm just blind. Anyway, RagnaroK poking a little bit, gets some check on where ByuN's army force is at. A lot of supply depots getting done. I like this, by the way, for ByuN, where he's like 130 supply out of 173, and he's still building 3 more supply depots.
Right.
He's just like, no, I just want to get it out of the way. Not think about it for the rest of the game. It reminds me of Roach players for Zerg. You know, they just add in a bunch of overlords. Like, yep, I'm just done with that section of my macro.
Now, I mean, is he really gonna try to do this?
think
I'm looking at this
so.
army that RagnaroK has. I'm like, that will literally not do anything.
He was trying to set up for this Baneling run by at the third base, but there was a depot wall for it.
Yeah, but ByuN's ready.
Yeah, ByuN is so good.
All right, well, ByuN is itching to come out. Dead even supplies here. More Banelings being made. Let's not forget that RagnaroK got toppled in the push last time because he had Banelings morphing too close to where the push was. So Terran just killed the Banelings off and then just pushed up from there.
Yeah, a lot of Banelings on the field right now for RagnaroK. 35, in fact, already. But army supply is favoring ByuN here. His army's looking really powerful, and it will not, in fact, be that 1-1 timing with combat shield. Instead, just opting to get 2-2. Adding in even more barracks. Another factory also in production. Kind of an interesting game from ByuN. Usually when I think about him playing TVZ, it's non-stop action, but here he is just building up a massive army.
Yeah, he stayed very, very quiet and very conservative since the attack. And he's even attacking. He hasn't attacked yet, but he will eventually. He's doing it later than he did in game 1.
Yeah, he's going to wait until he's max, basically.
Yeah. And he's even going to get that 4th base here. So we've just, after that rush, it's been a straight-up macro game. Almost like 2 players playing single player.
Yeah, and RagnaroK just continuing to posture in the middle of the map. Getting the feeling that he really wants to go for a trade. This can be an awkward situation here as Zerg with Terran just massing up what you know is going to be an insane army. And Zerg, they want to fight once they hit that max. So ByuN's coming in on the top side. ByuN actually microing back, but was not expecting this unit flooding in from where the 4th base are at. So a lot of bio going down. This CC is going to have to lift up. That was a nice sandwich there by RagnaroK coming up to the ramp.
Yeah, very nicely done. He gets in, but he gets right back out again. 2-2 is about to, sorry, infantry level 2, but vehicle plating level 1 is about to finish here for ByuN. And again, ByuN has basically just stayed back at home. He's not moved out, and because of that, we're starting to see rapid growth over here on RagnaroK's side of the map. He's starting to gobble up all the bases here at the top of the map.
Hive Tech is done, so perhaps Vipers will be on the field pretty soon. Nice surround here on all these units. They'll have to lift up onto the high ground, and RagnaroK really does not want to let ByuN get this 4th base. And behind all this, also coming in with an attack on the triangle third here of ByuN. ByuN's got some nice connection on the SCVs. Actually not fully committing. Could have gotten a few more there, but instead only 6 fall down.
Yeah, 6 is not the number I thought was going to be falling here. And now we're going to see the seesaw of action on the map here. ByuN's going to push up towards the top of the map. And I mean, he's going to be going through a jungle of creep. He's going to have to be very well spread out, or the Banelings are going to decimate his army. A small link counterattack down here at 6 o'clock as well.
Yeah, finding a lot of damage, just that counterattack, and now ByuN gonna have to do some great micro on creep as the Banelings are flooding in. Not a lot of support here for this bio, and ByuN doing a great job, at least on the right side, of focusing down all the Banelings.
Oh my God, he killed every single one of them. I can't believe it.
That was some insane micro there from ByuN, but I feel like there might be a little bit too much Zerg. He's gonna have to lift up and opts not to go for the main base, instead gonna pull back home, but
oh my God.
Wow.
That was like supernatural.
Yeah.
How many Banes were shot
crazy.
down? That was insane. I can't even believe that. So what is he? He's at 49 workers. That's bad. He's lost quite a bit. And look, the Zerg, it wasn't the most efficient trade, but at the end of the day, the Zerg didn't suffer any real losses. No killed drones, no destroyed hatchery. ByuN's going to gear up for another attack. Again, the supplies are a bit lower on both sides. Is this going to be the moment that ByuN can pull the advantage?
He's got to do something here. This gold base cannot be left to stand, and again, microing the Marines back behind the Marauders. RagnaroK actually retreating with the Banelings. Wants to wait until he has more forces here to defend. And again, really nice control here by ByuN. I mean, these Marines, the splitting is just impeccable. Banelings have had a hard time up until now connecting with any significant Marine counts, but the macro from RagnaroK just feels so strong right now. And with another run by the 4th base, ByuN is going to call out GG.
That could be confusing for some people watching at home as to what happened there. The small counterattacks from RagnaroK were doing so much damage that ByuN just tapped out.
Yeah, I mean, his worker count was already so low, and the only reason the supplies were even was because ByuN did have a large army, but it's so difficult when you have pure bio like that, pushing onto creep against the Hive Tech Zerg.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not good. By the way, ByuN, I mean, really playing, I think, one of the most quiet games I've ever seen from him. He was attacked, and he basically just didn't do anything.
I wonder if he thought that RagnaroK had committed much more than he actually did to that attack.
Well, also, we're like watching RagnaroK run around with like just like a Ravager and a bunch of Lings and Banes. Like, there were moments where I'm like, can't you just push out and kill that? I don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but anyways, we're tied up 1-1 now. So we're going to go to Grezvin for map 3 here. I don't know who's going to take this, but I think ByuN, we're going to have to see a much more active version of himself. RagnaroK doing a very wide range of plays here with that rush in the last game. A bit more of a standard game in game 1. I don't know what to expect as we go on into game 3.
Yeah, I think ByuN is going to be a lot more active on the map. That last game, if you hid the Terran's name from me, I would not have guessed ByuN in a million years with the way that he approached it. Just a little bit out of his element there, and looking to see him get a lot more active, a lot more aggressive here on Grezvin. It's going to go all the way to map number 3. Winner of this is going to go on to face Nightmare in the winners match. Loser's going to fight Hero to survive in Code S.
Right. Bit of wild Group B, by the way.
Yeah.
Lots of surprises here. And again, how far can Nightmare actually go? So, I don't know what we're waiting on. Are we going to start this game or not? I keep trying to sum it all up so we can close it out, but they still have not hit the start button. It's possible one of the players has requested a break. You could actually request a break and then not leave your chair, by the way. You can just sit there and use it.
All right, well, I think we're getting ready to go into the next map. Players confirming in the lobby that they are prepared as ByuN and RagnaroK, man. Map number 3 on Gresvin. RagnaroK's already been coming out with some aggressive plays.
Yep, this has been an exciting series. We're going to find out who takes it as we go on into that Game 3 now.
2023 GSL Season 2. Mystery Gaming, RagnaroK.
Big cheers in the audience here. Lots of RagnaroK fans today.
Yeah, that was loud.
Yeah, I like that.
Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
When you consider that RagnaroK was historically just a player who was kind of in the background of, compared to the other players we've had at GSL, that's cool to see he's accumulated a bigger fan base here.
Oh, he deserves it, especially after the performance that he had last year and then having to fight all the way back to get to Code S.
Yeah.
Season 2 of GSL. It's been a tumultuous road for him in 2023, and so it's good to see him take a game off of ByuN here in map number 2, and now one map win away from going to that winners match. Is you got some global fans here. Go RagnaroK.
Yes, some RagnaroK support.
Thank you for coming down to the studio. And
yeah, welcome.
Look at this again, Tasteless. We got gas pool. I think this was, this was actually
Oh,
before
I wasn't
the
even
hatch.
looking, actually. Is it the same thing again?
I think so, yeah. Looking at the production, sometimes it's hard to see on these monitors exactly. When it's blue, I don't know if I'm like colorblind or something, but it's hard for me to read how far that progression bar is actually
people are shocked
gone.
at how small the monitors are that we use. We basically cast these off of used Game Gears.
We got like Game Boy Advance
That's
right here. Somebody's rendering on
yeah.
that for us.
So, yeah, let's see what happens. We should point out, just like we did in the last game. Last game, the add-ons are sticking out, so the rush is stronger. This time, the add-ons are pointed inside the base because the add-ons are always on the right side of the building. So, you can't be punished in the same way as you could in Game 1.
I remember all the way back in Wings of Liberty, there was a huge discussion in the StarCraft 2 community about whether Terrans should be able to choose which side of their barracks and factory they can drop the add-ons on. And
Yeah,
this was a very intense debate for what felt like months at the start of the game.
Yeah, I feel like you should be able to choose. You should not. I like it just being on one side. And
You like it being
that makes
asymmetric?
it yeah, but I don't know. I feel like all my opinions tend to be like hyper conservative when it comes to RTS. I'm like, don't change anything, don't.
I like it too.
I was like when StarCraft Remastered was being produced, I was against them being able to change hotkeys. I thought that would be like really bad. And then
Really?
like that's how crazy I was about that. And then of course they let you change it, so I'm like, well, I have to change my hotkeys just like everybody else. And I'm like, oh, this is better. Why did I?
My life is easier now.
Yeah, I was like, why was I fighting this? This is so weird.
I don't have
like,
to
why-
move all the way to the
Yeah,
numpad to train a probe.
yeah, I was just like, why did I want that? I guess I'm like, I'm so afraid of, that's going to make the game worse or something. But so maybe I'm wrong about the add-ons, but
I do like having small positional imbalances, though, that players can try and take advantage of.
yeah. Well, also I feel like it's you don't have to make a wall in with an add-on sticking out, right? So I think it makes it kind of some builds work better in some spots than others. So
All
this
right.
game, he's got the Evo Chamber. He's getting a very quick armor upgrade, and at a third base right away. So there's not going to be anything really happening for RagnaroK for a while.
No, instead just teching up a little bit faster with that faster gas, as we're seeing here. And +1 Carapace, an interesting choice. And ByuN going back to the Banshee that we saw from him in game number 1. Yet again. Huh. I kind of thought that in game number 1, that would be more of a throwaway build that you use once. This Banshee comes out when the opponent might be expecting medevacs, and you just use it to get some kills, and then you go back to your norm later on in the series. But it seems like ByuN must have been having success with this in online tournaments. I mean, ByuN and Hero coming into this group, probably two of the hardest grinders on the ladder in terms of playing in, you know, all these online cups, whether it be ESL Opens or these crowdfunded tournaments. Both Hero and ByuN, I think, have racked up maybe 100, 150 games apiece in the past month.
It's crazy, man.
An online tournament play, absolutely nuts. So
he's going to get this Overlord. The Banshee's going to allow for that spotting. And is Terran going to push out with any of this? No, he's just going to head back inside. Still wants to wait for Stim to get done. But the Zerg is going to see that the Banshee's inbound here. Keep in mind that right now the Zerg doesn't know when the Terran leaves because the spotter Overlord's been killed. Yeah, we actually might have an attack coming out of RagnaroK right now. He's been sitting at 37 drones for a long time, only just now up to 38, and he's just been pumping lings. And with a Baneling Nest back at home and +1 Carapace finishing up, this might be a little bit of a delayed Baneling bust. I'm wondering. It's hard to tell. This could also be him metagaming ByuN because ByuN loves to do these early push-outs with Marines, and I don't think ByuN would be expecting a massive swell of Zerglings with Carapace right now, right? Yeah, that would. Yeah, that's actually a very good point, State. That would kind of be like a rug pull, you know? I mean, look at him moving across the minimap. There's so many of these Lings right now with 12 more in production. Anytime you see somebody moving on the map with Marines and there's no medevac, it is as risky as you think it is. Yeah. Now, there's one medevac. Oh, I'm sorry. I think there's actually two. I believe it's two. Yeah, okay, so now he can actually scoop these up if he needs to. It's just so, I mean, 54 Lings this early in the game right now. It's crazy. Terran's almost ahead on workers overall, so RagnaroK going to see if he can find some damage here, but ByuN recognizing the situation just stims back away, kills an Overlord for his trouble. And off creep, the Zerglings and Banes, they really can't connect. RagnaroK, you could see him, you know, trying to position himself to set up a flank should ByuN overcommit, but ByuN is just too smart to let that happen. Just gets his feet wet there on the creep and then recognizes the danger and pieces back out. Now, yeah, I mean, ByuN's being very, very safe. He's going to tear down these rocks. He's not overextending here. Baneling speed's not done yet, so the Banes are much more snipeable here. He may be waiting for this +1 attack to finish here. Oh, he's got to be careful of these Banes. ByuN's so good at focusing these units down. Instead opting just to get the Lings here. Some small connections. Didn't even realize there was a Reaper that fired a shot in there. That's so funny. Yeah. I'm like, why are they all jancing? So, I mean, he's shut down. Actually, not the best control in the world there from ByuN. At least I'm used to seeing him be a little bit better. He is going to regroup, and we are going to have that push. Keep in mind that part of the reason why ByuN lost that last game was he pushed very late, and on the counterattacks did an absurd amount of damage from RagnaroK. So he needs to have a bit of a different game coming into this. Yeah, cannot let those run-bys get the same amount of damage done as last time, but as it is right now here in Game 3, the creep spread very weak, and actually RagnaroK with a great pounce on these siege tanks. This is huge for him as he gets a surround on the Marines. All the tanks are going to be eliminated here, and while the Marines survive, I mean, having those tanks taken out when ByuN wants to get in position in siege range of that triangle third base there for RagnaroK is such a boon, and this all goes back to how low eco RagnaroK has been playing. He's still only at 55 drones. He's not trying to push past 60 or 70. He just wants to match ByuN's forces on the map, take some good trades, and then start to build up that eco as he's taking the fourth base now in the bottom left. So he's going to drop over here into the main. We've got Lings and Banes coming around here to try to save the day. There's no upgrade being made, but that's always a nice catch to get that Evo chamber. Now I'm going to go for the spawning pool. And, oh, almost looked like for a second he wanted to, like, commit down to that. Now, meanwhile, he almost seems to have a kind of bizarrely small amount of units that are beelining across the map. Yeah, I think ByuN just really wants to make something happen here. And off creep, he should be able to get a good trade here with these Banelings. I think he just literally gave up and went back to macro more. That siege tank in the medevac will be able to safely find its way back home, but right now tempo definitely on RagnaroK's side. So all of these trades have been very good for him. He just keeps whittling down the Terran army piece by piece, and especially with those 3 siege tanks being out of the field. I mean, imagine if ByuN had double the amount of siege tanks that he has right now. Imagine if he had 5 or 6 wild. Yeah.
Instead of 2 or 3. There'd be a lot more potential for him to push, but RagnaroK just playing this so smart, really countering ByuN's style here in game number 3.
So, I mean, so far, I got to say, I mean, RagnaroK's doing a really good job of just continuing to grow. It has been difficult, though, for RagnaroK to get another base up. If you look at the next possible 3 bases that are available on the map, none of them are that easy to take. And that may be kind of the long-term plan here for ByuN, is kind of to keep the Zerg on, what is Zerg's on 4 bases now? Yeah, 4 bases. 4 is good, but 5 is really when things start to get comfortable for the Zerg, you know?
Especially with these Ling-based compositions. You want as much larva as possible, right?
Yeah, you need to be able to remake stuff at the snap of a finger.
All right, well, ByuN posturing here outside the triangle third yet again. RagnaroK is now trying to take that 5th base, as you mentioned. Would love to get his hands on that one. And this is the position that ByuN was gunning for a couple of minutes ago. He would love to siege up there by that triangle third to be able to do some damage. And so he's trying to create distraction in the main base here with this drop. And he might have actually been able to buy himself a bit of a window, although those siege tanks still quite far away from the third. We'll see what he's able to get done here. Supplies very even now.
Yeah, you know, he's got tanks. They're pretty far back. It's kind of hard with a small number of Marines to really get that much done. He's trying to fish in the tanks. Now, here comes those Banes. Let's not forget what happened in the last game. Oh, remember the Banshee? Well, that's where it ended up.
It's a little photon cannon right there, just dealing with the Banelings coming into the third base. I love that. Love that there for ByuN. But, I mean, this Ling Baneling ball is so massive. It's so swarmy here for RagnaroK. Just so many units on the field, and he would love to section off this army before the reinforcements can come in from ByuN.
You know, it's funny. It's like, yeah, this push was as small as it looked like it was.
Yeah.
We saw Zerg running back and forth, but in fact, RagnaroK could just run in there and kill everything.
But, I mean, that trade was not cost efficient for him. Yes, he did clean it up, but now look at the army supplies tasteless. 101 for ByuN to the 71 of RagnaroK is, you know, this is one of the dangers of playing this more low eco style as Zerg is, yes, you can go tit for tat with a Terran, but if you're not outscaling them, sometimes when those armies get really big and your army gets less cost efficient, it can be scary. And that's kind of the position that RagnaroK is finding himself in now, especially as he tries to set up this 5th base.
Yeah. Now, this base is very, very pushable. We already see the fundamental problems with the way that base has its minerals pointed towards the push itself. And so this should be a much more viable attack coming in here. ByuN is still able to roam with the medevacs. He's still able to find opportunities. And, you know, it's basically this game of whack-a-mole back over there at the Zerg side of the map where he has to make sure he can put out every tiny fire that ByuN starts. And so, once again, the Zerg is on 4 bases. Terran is soon going to be on 4 bases as well. Command center's being made here. And this is really a control game from ByuN. If he can kind of keep the game looking like this for the next maybe 7 minutes or so, he could probably close it out.
Absolutely, and you can see how hard RagnaroK is hurting right now for minerals. I think he had 27 drones on a mineral patch, that base in the bottom left. That's going to get even worse now, losing the triangle third as momentum rapidly swinging in the favor here of ByuN, as it feels like he's just slowly getting an iron grip on the center of the map. RagnaroK has not been able to break him, and if ByuN is able to just continuously entrench himself in that position, where is RagnaroK going to expand, truly?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question, right? He's going to try now at this bottom base. He tried going up, you know, towards the top, but that didn't work out. It's Zerg on 3 bases right now. A 4th is coming, but it just seems like the noose is slowly getting tighter and tighter here for RagnaroK. You got to remember, guys, Zerg always needs more bases than their opponent, but in order to even be even at times.
And with the creep spread as dismal as it is over here in the bottom left, with a Baneling composition, that hurts more than anything else, too. Especially, you know, Hydralisk also in the fray, right? It's going to be so difficult for RagnaroK to get a good jump on this. You can see him trying to come in for some plays like this one. CC gets lifted up. That's a better connection than we had in the previous game with 14 SCVs going down, but will it be enough?
Yeah, unfortunately, the Marine bulk is actually too good, and he's going to get his own revenge here, taking out those, not even just the drones, the hatchery as well. He picks up and swings away. A 3-base Zerg, soon to be up against a 4-base Terran. I don't know that RagnaroK can recover. Yeah, the mining just isn't there right now for RagnaroK. As soon as ByuN repopulates that 3rd base, his mineral income is going to swing way ahead of what the Zerg is at. And RagnaroK feels like he has to push into this, but that's not going to be it. GG. ByuN moves on. He's going to face off against Nightmare in the winner's match. So one of those two is going to be moving on first here from Group B. Great series, though.
Yeah, what a game. I love the approach that RagnaroK had there in Game 3, staying low eco and just trying to overwhelm ByuN in the mid game. But ByuN is so good at this style. You could just see him, working his way across the map and just never lost his cool. Took it nice and easy. Eventually was able to get a grasp in the middle of the map and never let it go.
Well, I mean, that's that. RagnaroK did put up a good fight, but at the end of the day, I think ByuN just seems to have a very good handle on controlling the game. And again, winning in a very Terran fashion, just kind of smashing the few bases that RagnaroK needed to get set up. And yeah, just never letting the Zerg get to where they need to be, never letting them get that big. We're gonna go to a break now, guys. PVT coming up next, Nightmare versus ByuN. You don't want to miss it. See you guys in a few minutes.